you're a rabbi?
Well,
Like, should you study to know?
I think he says to learn.
Okay.
I think most, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I hear all kinds of opinions. So, like,
Yeah, it's more of a custom.
So, you think the majority is okay though?
Majority, and yeshiva we always learned.
Okay.
I'm sure there's still groups that don't. Okay, so what we were talking about here, we're on page 550, which is in the middle of Siman Kuf Samach Vav. We're learning a very interesting thing. We're talking about that there's two hanhagas, two ways that Hashem deals with the world. One way is reward and punishment. It's called schar va'onish. That means a person does something wrong, he gets punished. He does something right, he gets rewarded. But there's something else called hanhagas hayichud, which means that Hashem is constantly pushing the world to its final conclusion, where everyone will recognize that there's one Hashem, there's one God, and He's the only power. Now, the Ramchal wrote, for that to happen, sometimes Hashem has to let evil become very powerful, beyond what it should be. Why? Because the more powerful evil is, the more revelation of Hashem there is when Hashem ultimately destroys the evil. If Hashem would destroy only a little bit of evil, it wouldn't be such a big revelation. But if He would destroy a lot of evil, then it would be a very big revelation. So what Hashem does is He allows evil to grow into the world, even though it's not technically what people deserve if you were just looking at the hanhaga of schar va'onesh, of reward and punishment. So with this He explains why many righteous people suffer in their lives. Many righteous people suffer in their lives because Hashem is not only operating with reward and punishment. If Hashem was doing that, then it would be the good people will get rewarded and the evil people will get punished, and that would be it. Nothing else to talk about. But since Hashem operates with this other hanhaga, this other means of running the world, He allows evil to get to a point where the righteous suffer, even though according to Midas Schar Va'onish they don't deserve it. And we're going to talk about how's that fair. We're going to talk about it soon. But he says, on the contrary, the evil people, they become powerful and they have everything seems to be going well for them, where the righteous people are kind of pushed to the side. And that's where we left off. Nimtza. She'im ha'adon baruch hu rotze l'nayga ha'olam lefi hanhagas hayichud lahakir or metocha choshech v'lasu shevra atzmo yachla tov. If Hashem wanted to make the world in a way where He operates through hanhagas hayichud, where that we will recognize the light through the darkness, right? That's the whole thing. We recognize the light of Hashem through His ultimate destruction of the darkness. And He makes it so that the evil itself will become good. In order for that to happen, Hashem has to allow evil to grow without paying attention to the merits of the righteous. Hadrab, on the contrary, as nivnu osei rasha, the evil people, they'll be doing very well. And the righteous, their heads will be in the dirt. But after this, Hashem will reveal His kingship. And the fruits of this will be that the evil itself will be turned into good. And there won't be any evil at all, just good in the world. And at that point, the righteous will get the reward, but not before this. So it appears that the righteous may suffer because Hashem wants to allow the evil to grow. But He says, don't worry, the righteous are going to get their reward in the future when Hashem reveals His oneness and totally destroys evil. Because the goal here is to allow evil to grow so that Hashem could destroy it when there's no more evil in the world at all. Now let's look at the other way. What if Hashem would just operate the world with reward and punishment and nothing else? Without this hanhagas hayichud. It would just be the righteous would constantly be getting good, and the evil people will constantly be getting evil. You do something bad, you get punished. You do something good, you get rewarded. That's it. Amnum ein kan ma sheigrom tikun gamar lahanhaga sheibatu metzius hara ki lama yibatel ukfaranenu el. Now, if such a situation exists where Hashem only operated through reward and punishment, there would be no need to destroy evil, because evil would only be for the bad people, and goodness would be for the good people. There would be no need to destroy evil. It would be measured where it's supposed to be. Right? There wouldn't be any what appears to be unjust evil in the world that righteous are suffering, because Hashem made it with a strict reward and punishment. And therefore evil would only be meted out to those who deserve it. But Hashem wanted to make a world where evil wasn't going to last forever. In such a situation, if Hashem made the world that way, evil would last forever, because it's not going to be destroyed because it's only in the proper measure for those who destroy it. But Hashem made the world with this Hanhagas HaYichud where He allows evil to grow because the ultimate goal is to destroy evil entirely. Since Hashem really wants the total rectification, He wants the total rectification of the world and total destruction of evil. He goes with the righteous, with his Hanhagas HaYichud, like we mentioned. Their righteousness won't save them from the difficulties of this world. The righteous suffer in this world. This is not because of reward and punishment, for sure. It's in order that through the tzaddikim, the world is rectified. How so? This is good to them. Now, since the righteous had to endure evil, which they did not deserve, based on their deeds alone, they get more merit in the end of the day. More than they would have gotten if it was only for their deeds. If it was just for their deeds, they would have gotten a certain level of reward. You did good, so you get reward. But since they went through difficult times and hardships because of the evil in the world that they didn't deserve because of their deeds, they get even more reward. Not only that, it's through them, through the righteous, that the world was rectified. Since the righteous people accepted the difficulties in their lives, that itself added to the rectification of the world. So it comes out, Hashem, it's not just Hashem by Himself rectifying the world, it's through the deeds of the righteous that they're going through these hard times that they don't deserve because of their deeds. They participate in the rectification of the world. Amnam. Tov gam lo'olam, it's also good for the world. If Hashem just operated the world with schar va'onesh, they would only get the reward because of their deeds. But they wouldn't get the reward for having evil be destroyed from the world. Through this, it's going to reveal through their merits of the righteous, the unity of Hashem. And then evil will totally be destroyed from the world. See how there's another purpose in this. We see here that we keep talking about Hashem revealing His oneness. He says, when Hashem revealing His oneness, that's not just Hashem doing it, it's not like, he's saying it's not Hashem destroying evil and like it's a freebie for us. Oh, Hashem destroyed evil, but we actually have a share in it. We participated in the destruction of evil. He says, even though for other people it's really a freebie because they weren't righteous, but through the righteous, through the righteousness of the righteous, through their merit, through their continuing to follow the Torah and doing the right thing, even though it was very difficult and even though they were experiencing evil, that actually helps the rectification of the world. He adds here on the bottom, since we're all part of the Jewish people, we all have a share in what the tzaddikim do. But this is answering a very fundamental question that people have had. If there's a God, how can He allow evil to happen? So this is a very fundamental idea about how Judaism looks at the world. Right? There's two ways that Hashem deals with the world. There's something called schar va'onesh, which is reward and punishment. That means we get rewarded for our good deeds and punished for our bad deeds. But there's another hanhaga. There's another simultaneously Hashem is operating the world in another way, which is to push the world to recognize that Hashem is one. And what has to happen many times for that is that Hashem allows evil to just kind of run amok, and that bad things will happen to good people, and the evil people will be successful even though they don't deserve it, because Hashem wants to destroy the evil in the end of days, which will be a greater revelation. And He says here, don't think that it's not fair, right? The righteous are suffering, because the righteous are going to be rewarded even more than they would have just because of their deeds, because of the fact that they participated in the rectification of the world and the entire Jewish people. It's like that. And with this, we can explain, again, not specifically why such calamities happen, but we can explain. People, just the things people say. My great-grandfather died in the Holocaust, and he was a righteous person. How could that be? Well, the Ramchal is saying here that's how Hashem. It's unfortunate that he died, but that's how Hashem runs the world. That even the righteous suffer when evil is allowed to to do what it has to do. And that person who perishes in the Holocaust will get even more reward than he would have of just from his good deeds, because he participated in suffering for the entire Jewish people and for the purpose of rectification of the world. And what's going on with Hamas, all these things that we can't ask a question of, oh, it's not fair, he was a righteous person, he died. Obviously it's a tragedy, but when we look at the bigger picture, from what he's saying here, we see that Hashem doesn't always operate the world with the strict reward and punishment, but he has this Hanhagas HaYichud, which allows evil to run unchecked, and in that situation the righteous suffer. And then in the next part he's going to talk about, well, if so, how come we don't find all the righteous always suffering? There are some righteous people that suffer, and some righteous people that don't suffer. So how does that work out? So that's going to be the next section.
Cool.
Stay tuned.